Whoa, it's the Illusion reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth. This video is about quitting. Quitting. One of the things right off the bat is we're forced to quit jobs when I think a lot of times we're moving on from jobs. I had this young guy that I'm friends with who was like, it was time, he'd been working at this job locally here for years, and he went in to like quit, and he wasn't quitting, he was moving on, man. It's moving to bigger and better. To me, quitting means like giving up. Yet I was looking up in the dictionary, that's one of the definitions of quitting. Sometimes it's just leaving a job, but so I'm thinking about this concept of quitting and why it's relevant is trying to teach the mini-gram the valuable lessons of life now versus later. And so she was like, I want to quit jiu-jitsu. And we were like, why? And she was like, I don't like it anymore. And we're like, why? And she's like, I view it like a chore. And I'm like, well, it's a discipline, right? Like the whole concept of why we're doing the jiu-jitsu is A, to empower her, B, to be able to like kick ass out there in the world if anybody should threaten her physical space, and C, to teach her to overcome herself. And so the hologram and I talked about it. Well, okay, maybe she's burnt out and this and that. And then when I started to really think about it, and I was like, nah, you know what? There's been a lot of things over the last couple years she's just thrown in the towel with. Like, nah, I'm done. Water polo, singing, cleaning the dishes sometimes. Dude, it gets difficult. She's like, it's too difficult. And then I think about one of my main things I try to teach Owl is you can and you can overcome the difficulties, and to not quit and to not give up. And then I begin to think about my own life, right? And I think about my marriage, and I think about our relationship. The hologram and I have been going through like a tricky patch. And I think anyone who's married or in like a real relationship, they have to go through these patches. And, I took one of these, right? You don't get to quit. We made a vow in front of God to like better or worse, right? And yet I want to quit. I want to go run off over the hills and disappear to Surfingville or Skatingville or Campingville or wherever it is, right? Yet I can't quit. I have a small child, a stepdaughter, a wife, things going on. As much as I want to quit because it's difficult, that's not an option. And I think that's the thing that we're trying to teach the mini-gram is like, why we want you to not quit is because when life is out there, you're gonna have learned to not quit, and you're gonna be able to overpower yourself. Sometimes we're allowed to quit. Sometimes it's time to be like, you know what, like we've reached the point of diminishing returns and I'm out. But generally speaking, most people quit because it gets difficult, and that's what I was thinking about was it's one thing to quit because your boss is like harassing you. Okay. It's one thing to quit doing something because you've tried all you can and it's just not gonna happen. But then there's quitting because of like the feelings and the temporary state of being that we all get into where it overwhelms us and it overpowers us, and we may not just be in the right mood to deal with life, right? And I was thinking about like my journey on YouTube, like with you guys. Like I've wanted to quit seriously 5 or 6 times, like for real, just pulling the plug. And one of them's been recently, like in the last 3 weeks. I was like, dude, I just want to make the send off video and quit. But I didn't want to quit for any real reason than just that this is difficult, man. Like this YouTube journey has been one of the more difficult endeavors. But like, why? Why would I quit? Because I'm depressed that day. I don't feel up to it. Because ultimately, why I haven't quit like this is because when I get over that short-term need to like throw in the towel to quit, I ultimately get a X number of days later and be like inspired and like stoked I didn't quit, stoked I didn't delete my channel, stoked I didn't do anything permanent, right? Because part of what I've learned in life is you've got to overcome your mind. You've got to overcome your mind. I think sometimes we get to quit because we physically are unable to do something. Like, you're allowed to quit doing an activity because you're 75 and you've blown out your knee 50 times. Like, is that really quitting, or is that just realizing that you're no longer capable? And so I'm thinking about these things, and I'm realizing that quitting's like contagious. Because I was thinking about the situation in our home and like quitting and what that means, and like the number of times we've thrown in the towels because of like pushback, because it's gnarly dealing with another human being who digs in their heels, and yet we're supposed to teach this human being to overcome themselves and to realize like the bigger picture of why you need to pursue these things to their logical conclusion. And just because I don't like it, well, I could say that about everything some days, and yet half the reason stuff's so beautiful when it is beautiful is because I overcame those moments I wanted to quit. And I like, quitting to me is this contagious thing and it's based upon, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is that gets people to want to quit. And I look at my own life as like anything I've ever quit, jobs I've ever quit, activities I've ever quit, is because it got a little difficult and like I got overwhelmed and like, oh, poor me, poor me. And I look back, like one of my great, like, I don't really believe in the concept of regrets. I would say one of the things that I quit that I view as unfinished business that I don't know if I'll ever get to finish is college. I quit college because I got weak, man. I was weak. And I look back at that and I'm like, yeah, I was weak. And I think quitting like part of like on a certain level is weakness, but there's also like, and again, I think that the word quitting applied to certain aspects is misused. Especially about moving on from situations where you're propelling yourself to better situations. Are you quitting one thing, or you? So anyway, it's just a semantical issue. But I was thinking about it on the home front of like how hard it is to like not quit, to keep showing up day after day in spite of what your mind is telling you. And I think a lot of what it is you have to override the short-term desire to have life be easier. I think that why we shouldn't quit and why we should really like follow things through to their end is because that's the reward, right? The reward is the journey. Like, I think about all the times I've been backpacking, right? And climbing up a mountain with a giant backpack, and you're like, dude, this sucks. Like, yeah, it's beautiful, you're doing your thing, but like, dude, lugging a backpack up the side of a mountain, like, you're like, oh my God, dude, I just want to turn back, especially when you're down, like, you've started the journey up, and now you're not that far into the journey, and you're like, oh, this is brutal, and the bugs are getting you, and it's hot, and you're thirsty, and you're hungry, and you're climbing the mountain, like, you want to quit, man. It's brutal, and but then you get to the top, and you're like, oh my God, this is so beautiful up here, and you're resonating, and you're vibrating to it. But if you had quit and turned back down the mountain, you never would have known what it was to get to the top and overlook the vista and feel the energy and tap into the thing. And yeah, quitting's contagious, man. I think we live in a society of I think we've quit the big picture as a society. We've quit striving to maximize our potential, and I think we're trying to regain it. That's why I haven't quit doing this channel. Yeah, it's gnarly when it gets all like tricky. It gets tricky, man. Like, I look at, like, I've been wanting to, like, I'm one of those, the more people push back, the less I want to quit. Like, I look at, like, what's gone on recently with, like, the drop because of the mask videos and trying to, like, figure out what that's all about and the pushback on that. Like, that doesn't make me want to quit. When I want to quit is in this sort of middle of it all. When the
Don't watch a video.
I'm not watching a video, I'm making a video. I'm talking about quitting. What do you think about quitting, Al?
It's new quitting.
We don't quit, do we?
No.
That's right. Why don't we quit?
I'm putting my button on.
You're gonna put your button on?
Look at my button.
Oh, what does your button say? It's about not quitting. Keep coming back. You know, I think about my journey in recovery and, like, how many times I wanted to quit and how many times I just want to have a drink and smoke a little weed, whatever. And if I'd done that, I wouldn't have my co-pilot here. Would you want me to quit, Bird?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not like you.
Yeah. That almost makes me, like, shed a tear. If I think about, like, the times I almost missed this because I would have quit. So yeah, I'm not for quitting. I don't believe in quitting. Again, we're not talking about jobs. We're talking about, like, life stuff and trying to teach this to the next generation and where where I'm at in, like, life and the lessons that we have to convey. And it means it's hard, dude. Like, we're gonna get a bunch of pushback on this one, but
I'm gonna get my pen.
we can't quit. We can't let other people quit because it gets difficult. That's when we gotta persevere. That's what makes us stronger, is persevering. If I think about all the times I was paddling out, this video's running a little long, the times I was paddling out in the ocean getting pounded by cleanup sets, endless sets, and if I'd turned back and quit, I never would have made it out, right? And then I wouldn't have scored. And that's my thing, is, like, if you can just keep taking the waves on the head, eventually it will stop and you'll get outside and you'll regroup and you'll get to catch that wave and then you'll be stoked. And I think that's the lesson we've got to teach our minigram is it's not, quitting's not an option because of a feeling. Quitting is just something you don't do, especially in the discipline of martial arts. That's the whole point. The whole point of martial arts is not to quit, dude. Is to overcome yourself, overcome your weaknesses, and be strong. We don't quit. We don't quit on this YouTube channel. We don't quit on our families.
Look at my unicorn ball.
Yeah. Make sure you got it. It's over here. It's the camera. Look at his unicorn ball, right? Well, that's the illusion. You want to show him some other?
Look at my twin shack.
You gotta get it right there.
Yeah.
And what else?
Twin shack.
You like your crane truck? How about your new friend?
I like my new friend.
Well, who's your new friend's name?
Dylan.
What were you doing yesterday? Tell us about your play date yesterday. What were you doing? Skateboard.
On my bike.
You were skateboarding and riding your bike?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, dude. He hasn't wanted a skateboard yet, and then his little buddy Dylan was on his skateboard, and he's like, I want to get the skateboard. He started skating yesterday, just like that. Like, again, I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I just kept the skateboard on standby. What if I'd thrown in the towel? What if I'd thrown in the towel on all this stuff? We can't quit anymore. We're especially you young bucks out there, man. Rise to the challenge. Overcome yourself.
Daddy, put my foot
You old
down.
bucks out there with your families and your kids and you're wondering, dude, no. I go through it too, dude.
Look at my foot.
Sometimes I want to throw in the towel and run away, but we can't, man. The revolution's in our living rooms, man. The revolution's what we teach these young people about the world. We don't quit. We're not going to quit. We can do this. It's the illusion. Signing off. Pretty fired up, man. I might even make another video after this, dude, just because I kind of inspired myself, listening to myself, going, dude, we're not going to quit. We don't quit. Do we quit?
No.
No. We're out.
We're out.